Hello everyone, and welcome to this Baldur's Gate 3 video. Baldur's Gate 3 released in early access about a week ago, and I've had some ample time to dig my teeth, claws, blades, arrows, and spells into this game, so I wanted to make a quick top tips for new players, at least the tips that I would have liked to have known coming into the game. So without further ado, let's get started. For my very first tip, I would advise you to take your time creating your character. With Baldur's Gate 3, your race and class combinations yield different effectiveness in combat and outside of combat. Certain races will work better with clerics, other races will work better with spellcasters, such as warlocks and wizards. Additionally, your own character attributes and points, and also their general skills, will influence the way that you explore your RPG element of the game on dialogue options, which can be influenced by your race and also your class, but also on die checks. These are really interesting and somewhat random, but equally as fun instances where you have to roll a die to make sure that your action can be performed in a dialogue setting. And depending on your attributes, certain things in certain settings will be better suited than others. So, pay attention to your race and your class. Aside from that, the Baldur's Gate 3 character creation process is extremely in-depth. There's a lot of customization options. You could probably spend an hour or two in that setting alone. And I probably will on my next playthrough. But I have to finish my first playthrough. For my next tip, I would recommend for you to interact with everyone and everything you can, especially those with UI markers on your minimap. These characters can lend you side quests and objectives to complete while you focus on your main missions. Additionally, they may have a key or just generally key information of where to go, who to speak to, what to interact with, and how to get around and about the region. All in all, I've had really wonderful experiences chatting with NPCs. As a personal side, or aside, I'm not one to really interact with a bunch of NPCs if I don't have like a specific goal to reach, but I have had to learn and I have found out that I've been more appreciative of getting to know the region and also gaining more information on my certain objectives. So, additionally, would highly recommend in terms of gameplay, talking to as many people as you can. Sometimes it'll work out for the better, but I will also advise that sometimes it just won't. Sometimes you might say something bad to someone and it gets on their bad side, and they might pull out a dagger or shoot a fireball into a giant region of flammable wine and oil, and you will die very painfully. Next up, I would recommend for all new players to quickly look into your keybinds in the Options tab. I personally like to use the click to move system on the left mouse button, though there is the left mouse button plus holding it to kind of just steer your character. But because I like this left mouse button clicking maneuver, I personally enjoy using my right click to rotate the camera. I think by default you have to hold and press down the mouse wheel to do so. I would like to say though that this interaction should be ironed out by the developers if no one has really talked about it yet, because while using the right mouse button, it will actually interrupt the character from moving. So if you want your character to be moving, but you also want to turn the camera at the same time, your characters will just stop moving in order for you to turn the actual camera. It's just all kind of wonky, you know, it could be ironed out, but once again, early access. Also, look to see what key bindings you have to cancel actions and to perform autosaves. Canceling actions was definitely one thing that was really annoying to me in the beginning because I was really trying desperately to cancel an action that I misclicked or a spell that I misclicked, and I kept having to press escape, but escape actually just takes you to the exit screen, or not the actual exit screen, but like the options screen to exit the game. So it was all just kind of weird. You can rebind all of that in the options. Additionally, while you're there, I highly recommend checking graphical settings because this game might not necessarily be 100% optimized yet. Shadows and texture rendering and distance LOD, how far you can see and how far the game will load, can heavily impact computers. I've somewhat hinted at my next topic, this being autosaving, so be sure to check that in your options. But moving on to my next tip. Always, 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 always be saving your progress in Baldur's Gate 3. This is one of the few games I've been playing that force players to save their progress actively. It's not a game where it will just automatically save all your progress and keep them on their servers like in many MMORPGs and maybe a couple other modern day single player games, but if you have not been playing a single player action-based strategy game in quite a while, or any game that just requires you to save, this will definitely be a glaring issue for you because it doesn't auto-save too often. It will occasionally during certain milestones, but for the most part, it's relying on you to make those auto-saves or those hard saves, which you can do by pressing escape and going to the save game option. But I will personally admit that this auto-save feature and keeping the save system in mind is very helpful because I was dying to enemies quite a lot in the beginning because this game is a bit challenging. But this game is also in early access and perhaps not fully optimized or tested, so there were occasional crashes where I would make it into like 20 minutes into the game or completed a couple of milestones or was entering a cinematic and the game crashed and I had to work my way all the way back, and it was very, very, very sad. But failure is a good teacher. Keep that in mind for my later tips. Moving on. My next two tips are more of a mindset thing for the player, not necessarily touching on gameplay function or UI, etc., but kind of talking to you directly, the person watching this video, hopefully going to play Baldur's Gate 3. So, first tip for the mindset is interact with the world through a true role-playing experience. This game is as much of a Dungeons and Dragons experience as it is a conventional strategy game. You have to play with physics. You have to think of, is this the proper thing to say? Am I talking to this person and am I trying to keep allegiances, or do I want to go down this path and how to manage this issue? I have to cut someone down from a jail or a rope. Do I shoot an arrow at it? There's weakening on the floorboards. Can I destroy the floorboards? Let me collect some water to throw on a fire so I can access something. Can I shadow step somewhere? This game is physics oriented and real world oriented. This is probably one of the more extensive and fulfilling role-playing experiences that I've personally played in a game. That being said, I've not played too many. I play a lot of MMORPGs, but MMORPGs don't necessarily rely on the person playing roleplay. It's just an optional thing for you to set the tone and the setting of the universe. In Baldur's Gate 3, you really have to put your mind into the character's mind and approach these scenarios, these social scenarios, in the most educated way, or in the way that you want to see your own desires pan out and what you're going for with your character or what you want to see happen to certain characters. It's all very minutia oriented. So for my last and final tip, which is also a more mindset tip, I had mentioned this earlier, but be prepared to die a lot. And I mean a lot. And embrace the failures. Failure is often the greatest teacher. These moments where you fail, either by dying or failing to save your game, can be used as vital teaching tools as you progress in Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access. I was a little salty, one would say, and I'm gonna get real with y'all. I was a little salty at times because I was dying, and I was like, it's early game, because I'm so used to new player experiences, holding your hand, making sure you're alive and that you survived the experience. But quite honestly, Baldur's Gate 3, when you're on the Nautiloid ship and you're going around and you're killing those brains, tendril things. I'm trying to also remember all of the lore stuff, but it'll take some time. It will show you the pain of death and show you the value in applying yourself in a strategic and smart, intelligent way. So, have that mindset of it's okay to fail, because it will honestly help you in future encounters. And those were my 6-ish tips for Baldur's Gate 3 for a new player's experience. I don't know if these are really being touched on by other guides, nor do I really think that this was the guy you might have been looking for, but I wanted to maybe instill some extra tips that other people might not be touching on, particularly the mindset ones. But, of course, peruse the YouTubes, because there are a bunch of other Baldur's Gate 3 content creators. I know the Crichton Herald, there's this Wolf guy who I've been watching, and quite honestly, YouTube is a great platform for information. And also just the Wikipedia in general. The internet. Use all your tools to your advantage. But I am also very much excited to be finishing up my early access playthrough, making a couple more videos on my experience with Baldur's Gate 3, but I do hope you guys enjoyed. Like the video if you liked it, comment down below your thoughts, or if you want to instill any tips for people watching. If you would like to support me and become a patron, I trust you guys. All my links are down below in the description. You guys have been on the internet long enough. But I hope you guys are having a wonderful time. I hope you guys enjoy Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access. If you want to participate in the Early Access, I'm very much excited to be playing the full game whenever it launches. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.